I think in hindsight, now that I'm 80 songs deep, it's like growth, you know, getting better. Now I'm in a whole different level with my artistry, and there's a development stage that a lot of artists need to go through.
I've got a few artist friends, and I think what I've kind of realized with them is they'll go 90-something% into the track or something, and then I'll never release it because of, I don't know, insecurities or whatever it is.
I think everyone's guilty of doing something like that. Being an artist, it's like you got to disconnect from your identity so much. Like I could go through a breakup and I could put it all into a song. It's weird. You got to be self-obsessed enough to put yourself out there. But then when the product's done, you got to be like, this is now for you guys, not me.
When he gives us something and we hear a demo, we're like, oh, that's fucking dope. That's sick. And he's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna put it out or whatever. But we were like, no, this is a banger. You're just, you know, looking at it from your perspective and you want it to be perfect and you're very self-critical. And it's actually happened. Some of the songs that he hasn't necessarily felt on top of, some of those songs have been our biggest successes.
Yeah, okay.
The beauty of this time we're in now is that you can have content from 4 years ago and it can just re-emerge and it's new.
So it's very interesting. You don't know what the market's gonna like until you actually put it out there. And now it's about really, you know, taking it to the next level and, you know, executing on the vision that we've got, which is for him to be the biggest star in this country.
The weather cold, the weather so chill, chilly, willy, penguin, feathered road.
Jaycee is a rising Australian artist. He's a singer, rapper and producer with over 1.3 million followers on TikTok and was recently featured on Big Brother. Julian is his manager, and I'm keen to talk about the journey of being an independent artist and what the ultimate vision is. I know you guys have been grinding extremely hard. Julian, we caught up literally a couple of weeks ago and we had a really good chat. It was fun, and I've been extremely excited to get you on, Jaycee, as well. I found you probably I'd say about 4 years ago.
Yeah, right, okay. Oh, wow.
That long?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So after you did a podcast with Leo.
Yeah.
So I actually saw that podcast, and that's how then I started following you from there. And Julian, we've ran into each other a few times, and I thought, you know what, let's jump on, let's have a chat. I think what you're doing is extremely interesting with a few things. Let's just start off with, how do you get involved in music?
Oh, first off, thank you, man. 4 years, that's a long time, longer than a lot of people, so I appreciate that. How did I get involved? I mean, I always loved to make music. Like when I say always, like when I was a kid, like 9 years old, I think my mom got me a guitar and I started playing that, and I always kind of was like, saw it as a possibility. You know, I remember being in the car with the radio on, and when I heard the songs on the radio, I'd make my own lyrics up and I'd make my own words up for the songs on the radio. And I just had really encouraging parents, like my dad, my mom. They were always just like, yeah, like I playing my guitar, singing, and I sounded like shit, but they would always be like, oh, that's so good, that's so good. Yeah. And looking back now, it's like, maybe this is why I put out 90 songs, because every song I'm like, shit, I think this is so good. But yeah, my mom was always super encouraging, and my dad was super encouraging. And I went through school, I was in the school band, and I was just always about the music. Graduated from high school and went and busked on the streets, and it just progressed. I built up a studio, just taught myself how to make music and just had a lot of fun doing it.
That's crazy. Like even 90 songs, I'm not really big into music.
The exact number's 82. Just in case anybody out there is going to jump on and go through the Spotify just to check and be like, it doesn't have 90 songs. It's 82.
You're a gun.
But it's close enough. We'll be 92.
Sure there's a few unreleased or something.
There's a few like bonus tracks laying around, and there's...
We'll count it. We'll count it.
We'll round it up.
But even that, like, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I'd say that's not normal. That's way more than...
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
No.
But I feel that...
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially like in the industry, the Australian music industry. You know, there's not a lot of Australian artists that release such high volume. And because we're so conditioned to like this album mentality, you know, you don't hear from an artist for 2 years and then they drop their album. So I do mixtapes. So I did do a mixtape this year, which was, I think 11 songs.
Okay.
But I really like the singles.
Okay.
So when you do singles, you can kind of just put one out every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. And I've just been doing that for like 4 or 5 years.
That's
just
amazing.
Consistently releasing.
Is there any reason like why you like consistently releasing? Is there any reason, or is it just like you just want to be consistent? I just want to pump it. Like let's get the numbers up. Like
there's a few reasons. The reason always changes, I guess. I think in hindsight, now that I'm 80 songs deep, it's like growth. You know, getting better. You know, I listen to some of my earliest stuff. And it's good music, but, you know, now I'm in a whole different level with my artistry, and there's a development stage that a lot of artists need to go through. And I chose to do that publicly. You know, a lot of artists might just, you know, practice all day in their room, or a lot of artists might release and then delete everything once they get their special song.
Yeah.
So I was just like, hindsight-wise, I think progress and self-discovery. Strategically, marketing standpoint, you know, just momentum, building fans, catalog, you know, all you need is one song and it will open the floodgates to the other 80 songs that are still there and they'll always be there, you know, and I like to think of every song as like a property. You're in the real estate game, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'll be getting royalties on this digital asset to the day I die, as long as it's available to the people. And every song to me is like, oh, this is a cool area. I'll buy up this place, make a rock song. Or this is a cool area. I'll make a funk song. And it's just like audio, sonic real estate.
So even to an extent, and I'm sure Julian, you could probably add on this, like you guys are looking at it like, okay, we're pumping music. We're obviously not just putting it out there for the fuck of it, but we are pumping. We're consistent. One thing I did notice from when I caught up with Julian a couple of weeks ago, one thing that really stood out to me is like you guys grind, man. Like it's like you guys are really putting in the work to pump this out. But even just real estate, like put it down to real estate, the more songs you're out there, one fan will listen to a song and then they start jumping.
They go down the rabbit hole and they go, oh wow, this was this and the beauty of this this time we're in now is that, you know, you can have content from 4 years ago and it can just reemerge and it's new. You know, there's no like, oh, this is old now. It's like a song I put out 3 years ago could just go boom, and then the whole world's open to the catalog. So that's the strategy, that's the mindset behind the consistent releases. And also, I'm an artist that uses my music kind of as a diary. You know what I mean? Nice. So as I'm going through emotions, I create, and I always think there's no point of something sitting on your computer, even if it isn't amazing or it's not gonna blow up or whatever. Like I'll still put it out just because it's special to me, you know. And I think that's the main thing with your art. Is like, how does the artist feel about their work?
I've got a few artist friends, and I think I don't know too much about it, but what I've kind of realized with them is they will they'll go 90-something% into the track or something, and then they'll never release it, or they might just finish it and they'll never release it because of, I don't know, insecurities or whatever it is. Like,
I think everyone's guilty of doing something like that. You know, like changing your outfit multiple times before you go out to a party. It's like a version of that.
Yeah.
But being an artist, it's like you gotta disconnect from your identity so much. Like I could go through a breakup and I could put it all into a song, and then by releasing that song now, I'm pretty much telling the world about my emotions. And you got to really not be so. It's weird. It's the music industry. You got to be self-obsessed enough to put yourself out there. But then when the product's done, you got to be like, this is now for you guys, not me. So
it's about finding a balance. You know, a lot of artists get fixated on creating this perfect body of work, and unless it's perfect, they're not going to put it out. And going back to what you were, the first question, with our releases, it was very strategic because these days as well, a lot of people don't have the attention span to sit through a full album, especially if they've never really heard of the artist. You know, if you've got your favorite artist, you'll listen to the full album because, you know, you vibe them.
The full album.
Yeah, even your favorite artist, you might not have the attention span to go through 20 songs. So with us, it was very strategic to, you know, put out a song a week and put out multiple singles and all that sort of stuff, because we see it as building the foundations. And, that's essentially what we've been doing for the last 4 years, and doing it in a very different, way to most other artists, doing it independently, not having, the backing of like a major label or anything like that. So yeah, it's been an interesting grind.
How do you find it? Like, even, I don't know, Jaycee might come to you and be like, hey man, like, I don't know, I'm not feeling this or something like that. And you're probably standing back there like, I fucking love this track or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys balance that?
Well, he's definitely more self-critical of his work than me and Nick, who co-manages Jay with me. Shout out, Nick. Than we are. Like, when he gives us something and we hear a demo, we're like, oh, that's fucking dope. That's sick. And he's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to put it out or whatever. Yeah. And it's actually happened that some of the songs that he hasn't necessarily felt on top of, but we were like, no, this is a banger. You're just, looking at it from your perspective and you want it to be perfect and you're, very self-critical. Some of those songs have been our biggest successes.
Yeah, okay.
So it's very interesting. You don't know what the market's going to like until you actually put it out there.
Yeah.
But
I always find
the reason I work with him is like, I'm his biggest fan. So when it comes to his music, I love, pretty much everything that he delivers. So
you're like, this is the greatest.
That's it.
Of course.
That's it. So,
of course, that's amazing. I think it's always hard. Like, I feel like a lot of people are always sitting around a boardroom like, oh, we don't like it, and then put it, and then like you put it out there and it's amazing. Like, TikTok's a perfect example of this. Like, you're like, this is the greatest like video we've ever made, and then you put it out there, like no one fucking watches it or cares, and then the one that you just hate is like blows up, and like
to give you a perfect example, our first song that crossed over to mainstream radio, called Lie to You, he didn't even want to put out. Me and Nick didn't even know about the song until he played it for his girlfriend, and she was like, oh, this is a banger, you have to put it out. And that's only when we got to hear it and we're like, what the hell?
I usually go for, she has good opinions on music. So I show her and she's like, yeah, this is good, or no, this isn't good. Because like, it's one of those things where, the balance is the main thing, because I'm like, I reckon a good rule for artists is the sleep on it rule. So like, you make something and you're hyped by it and all this thing, and it's just natural, you're proud of yourself. And then have a few sleeps on it, go back to it, listen to it. If you still like it after like, I don't know, a week of sitting there, then you should put it out.
Do you sometimes like struggle? Like, I remember like my brother, he was a DJ growing up, and I remember he used to play these songs he'd be making. I'd be sitting there playing FIFA and he'd be making it next to me, and I'd be listening to this thing for like 10 hours straight for a week or something. And I'd be fucking over him. Like, I don't want to hear this shit anymore. Like, I don't want to know. Like, you sometimes struggle because like, you'd obviously make something, you listen to it 100 million times, and then how do you like decipher if you like it anymore because you're just drained?
It's honestly using two parts of your brain. Like, and it's crazy when you put it like that, because the creative, you have your creative brain. So when I create, I'll jump straight on the mic. If I hear it too many times, I'll be tarnished by what I know music to be. So like, say I make a beat, beat's made, I'll just jump on the mic and just try and get it out, whatever comes to me, ASAP. And then once that's out, and if I like what I hear, then I switch over to my logical brain, and I actually examine the music as if it's like an assignment, or if I'm programming. It's like, I'm not really hearing like, oh yeah, this is sick. It's like, all right, I'm gonna move this snare over here, I'm gonna move these frequencies. Like, it's like it's like software, you know what I mean? And I become like a geek, and then I have to detach, and I have to listen to it for my creativity and dance a bit in my room, and amp myself. And then I'm like, back in, headphones on, and so you're not really hearing it for like a song, because you got your consumer brain, and then you've got your like, what are these sounds? Like, what am I actually hearing? I'm hearing like, a snare drum hitting like 2000 hertz here. I have to lower that down, compress this, reverb this. So it's like bouncing between those, and that's for me as well, because I'm really making a lot of the beats and writing and everything. So it's different, It's a different brain.
And then like, that's very interesting. The way I'm looking at it, I'm just sitting there like,
you're just hearing the song on repeat. It's like, fucking shut up.
It's bloody wild,
it's
man.
like a video editor, right? Like you're like actually segmenting the video and stuff. You're not watching the same thing over and over again.
Fair,
you know what I mean?
fair play. The how long does it generally take for you to make a song?
It can take years.
Okay.
But the best songs are made in one sitting. The best songs are made in a few hours or a few minutes, whatever, but in that one session. But I have some songs, it depends what you classify as making a song. Like I have beats that I'm like, I'm gonna use this one day, and it's just a seed in my head.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm always just like, will this fit? You know what I mean? And I'm not actually working on it, but I just know that I have something like that in the file.
Yeah, it's like just in your...
Okay, I do have this 80s beat that one day will come in handy.
Yeah, okay.
But in terms of like the best songs for me is like with the one sitting, and you walk in with nothing and you walk out with a song, and you're like, that was it.
Are you like for example, when you come with lyrics and things, like, are you sitting there, it's like 11 o'clock at night, something comes to your head, you quickly write it down, or is it just something like you just literally just kind of walk in and you just roll with it?
Yeah. So this is it's actually cool because my process has been gradually changing, like, and that's, I think, because I put out so many songs. So like, for instance, the other day I was like, okay, today I'm just gonna make music, and the whole day didn't make anything. And I was like getting angry, well not angry, but just like frustrated, like nothing's happening. Okay, give it a break, and then like getting ready for bed, like 11:30 at night. Suddenly inspiration strikes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jump on the computer and it just starts flowing. So it's one of those things where it's like, you can plan to make art, but the best art to me is when it finds you.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why so many great ideas happen when you're on the toilet or in the shower, because you're not thinking about making anything. It just
comes.
And sometimes it's just a phrase. You know, like I'll just be having a shower and a phrase will come into my head where I'm like, that's what we need to hear. And that would just spark a whole wave of inspiration.
So then like, what's your week like, in a sense? Like, are you sitting there like, okay, I'm going to plan to create music for 3-4 days a week, and then most of those days you're just sitting there like, fuck, it's not happening? Or is it just literally you try to fill your time up with other stuff, and then like when that does come, then you're like, all right, let's go. Like,
I think I'm always ready. Like when inspiration spikes, I'm always ready just to get into it.
Drop everything and just go.
I don't think, like, my process has changed. I'm not sitting around the computer as much, like trying to just make something happen.
Yeah.
I'm ready, I'm prepared enough and fast enough now. Speed is a big thing when you're producing your beats, because you got the idea, but how can you turn that into something you can hear?
Yeah.
And sometimes that bridge, by the time you get over that, you've lost it. That's how fast it happens. Like, you might be like humming a beat or something, or a phrase comes in your head. Oh shit, got to get this down. Then you're like, all right, loaded up the software. Oh, how do I put the snare on? Like, how do I? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know your tool, by the time you're ready to use it, you're like, you're fucked. So the speed now, I can load up, boom, 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 and I can get it out quick enough. So I'm always ready. So I like to say I'm always creating, you know, because I'm very observant as well. Like, you know, I'll hear stuff, and then that'll be a seed in my head, and then it'll come out in a studio session. I'll be like, where did that come? Oh, that's where it came from.
Okay.
But my week is like more content driven than anything, because I've got songs that need to be pushed. So I'm really just about how.
We've got 82 songs.
How. You know,
and that's just on the music side as well. Like,
and that's like massive, you know, just ideas, skits, editing, like that shit takes up time, and that's another facet of creativity you have to dive into.
Yeah.
So my day, is big time just like content creation in marketing form.
Nice. Like, it's well, you're definitely getting out there on TikTok. But before we get to TikTok, I think let's even just take one step back. Like, how did you guys even meet? Like, how did it even happen?
No, you can tell the story.
It's a pretty interesting story. So we've been working together for over 4 years now. It's just been 4 years, it's crazy to think how quick time flies. And it was in the middle of 2018. So I was doing my own thing before that. I was doing web design, marketing, had a small agency doing a lot of freelance stuff and just not really enjoying it, but always loved music. And I'll condense this story a bit for the viewers. But yeah, in 2018, I just made a decision that I wanted to get into music more and started attending more shows and networking and meeting people. And yeah, one of these shows, I ended up meeting a manager that ended up introducing me to Jaycee and Nick in Melbourne. The boys were actually down in Melbourne for a support gig that Jay was doing. And I think it was your boys' first time traveling to Melbourne for business, for work, for a show, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, we both ended up at this dude, his name's Fitzy, ended up at his barbecue one Friday afternoon, and we just connected. And how it worked out was they initially asked me if I could build a website for them, which is what I was doing at the time. And I said, yeah, of course. And I was wanting to, you know, get into working with artists and all that. And yeah, from our first chat, things sort of started dragging a little bit on, you know, the web design front. And something just clicked into my head where, you know, we'd been communicating for about a couple of weeks. And I was like, wait a sec, I've been wanting to get into the music industry, but I haven't even, you know, I'm speaking with this artist now, but I haven't even had to listen to his music. So turned on his songs one night and jumped on SoundCloud, went to see what he had out there, and had 8 songs at the time. It was the first mixtape, the modern day mixtape. And yeah, I remember turning on the first song, Fire, and by the end of it, I could just see the future. I could see what we're doing now. I could see all the stuff that Jay's already done, you know, performing at the NBL, being on TV commercials, having songs on radio. And I just, yeah, I was just like, wow, this is incredible. Like for me, you know, if you're going to manage someone, you have to love, you know, their music. Otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah, bloody yes.
And as soon as I heard it, I was like, this is the type of stuff that I would just listen to as a fan driving down the street. And yeah, that night I gave the boys a call and I was like, you know, I want to be a part of this. I believe in what you do. I love your music. And, you know, I'm happy to offer all my services for free, the web design, this, that, let's just get started. And that's how it happened. And, you know, for the first, you know, I think, you know, 3 months or whatever it was, I wasn't even officially his manager. I was just, you know, helping out and doing things and all that. But, you know, it just quickly grew. And, you know, the 4 of us actually, our DJ, Jed, who's been best friends with Jay and Nick since they were kids, the 4 of us all just, you know, just hit it off and clicked and, you know, started building a brotherhood. And, you know, from there, you know, as they say, it's history. And yeah, 4 years down, and we've done a lot of cool stuff. And you know, the way that I see it is, we're just getting to that start line with, you know, that's how it feels. It feels like the foundations we've built, we've got the songs out there. You know, we've connected with a lot of brands, done a lot of brand work, performed festivals, got songs on radio, done a lot of this stuff, and now it's about really, you know, taking it to the next level and, you know, executing on the vision that we've got, which is for him to be the biggest star in this country.
That's crazy.
And then one of the biggest stars in the world. But, you know, we'll take on Australia first and conquer that. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. Been a crazy ride so far.
How do you see it? Like, I know there's not one road that leads you to success. There's a million different things. It could be one random thing that kind of happens that completely changes, obviously, the you know, what's going on. But how are you guys envisioning to get to that next step? Is it still just content? Is it, you know, what is it?
Well,
and I know it's probably a hard question to answer.
It is a tough question because there's no one set path.
I'm just wanting, so I just want to know the mindset. Like,
you know, the way is always evolving as well. You know, like, you know, I did the song a week, and then I was like, okay, that was a strategy. Then, you know, I got approached to do Big Brother. And then, this is another way. And then, you know, I get approached to, you know, be on this tour lineup, and it just keeps evolving. And then TikTok emerges, and this is a new hot thing, a hot trend, or craze or whatever. Jump on the app, and I start making content. So it's just, you never really know. Like that's the loophole with success. Hey,
bloody earth, and like,
you just got to be consistent. and just keep going.
And being authentic, staying true to yourself, because, you know, with us, before I met the boys and I started working in the industry properly, like, I thought the be all and end all for an artist was to get a major record deal and be signed to, you know, one of these major labels. But then, you know, once I met the boys and started learning more about, you know, being an independent artist and, you can do it by yourself and, you know, all that sort of stuff, my perspective started to change. And especially learning, you know, how labels roll and, you know, how these deals work and what's actually, you know, written in the fine print. And, you know, it made me realize that, wait a sec, there's this whole other path that you can take in the music industry. And yeah, it might be tougher at the beginning and might be a lot more work and you don't have any real support from the media or industry or, you know, whatever the powers that be.
Yeah.
But if you get there on your own, you own 100% of it. And, you know, the rewards that you're going to have are infinitely more than if you're, you know, signed to a label and you're kind of, you know, they're in charge of your destiny.
The music industry is really changing. It's kind of like, you know, the NFT space and all that. It's just, it's a new world of ownership and like artists are really becoming more than an artist, if that makes sense. Like, you're not just going into the studio and you're not just making a song and then leaving. It's like, nah, there's actually a business here. There's a way to have legacy and operate and not be someone's puppet. And that's exciting to me.
Yeah, bloody earth. Well, just so people can understand, like, when you guys are obviously going the independent route, but what is the traditional route and, like, how does that work? And then obviously explain why you've chosen
so like
the other route.
In a nutshell, a traditional route would be you sign up with the label in your early stages of being an artist. You might have a few songs that have a little bit of traction. Big label approaches you, Sony Music, let's say, signs you up. Sony Music goes, all right, so we're going to run you through our machine. We have the contacts for like radio, festivals, I don't know, like talk shows, if we had that in Australia. Collaborations. But in favor, we're going to essentially own 95% of you. You know what I mean? And then we're going to dish out.
So like your royalties, the music, everything.
Yeah, like merch tours, just your name is your business. Yeah. Same way you have a real estate company, whatever you do. That's, so Jaycee's a business. So they go, well, we're going to have 95% of Jaycee. Yeah. And that's going to be a 5-year thing. And you're going to have to give us 5 albums. And that's going to be how it's going to work. Now, that's not too bad if the label is going to make you a priority. You're going to go into that deal and they're going to go, this guy is the guy. And then they're going to really push the button on you and make sure you're on every festival slot. And you actually build a career. And then at the end of that 5 years, you can reevaluate your deal. Or you actually, that 5% might be, you know, it's better to have 5% of $1 million than, you know, say. Yeah. So, but the thing is, these labels have thousands, tens of thousands of artists that they sign at a grassroots level just to have a monopoly on the market. Yeah. So there's so many artists that go, oh, Sony Music's approached me. This is awesome. Yeah. Sign the dotted lines, and then, hey, Sony, can I put out this song? I really love it. It doesn't meet the brand we want for you. Hey, Sony, I got this album. Look, you don't have enough buzz. Yeah. Why would we invest money in you? And then these artists are shelved. And that's the most, it's like torture for an artist. Imagine being a creative person and then being told you can't create and share. So that's my main problem with the traditional method. But
do they also, like, for example, and it's probably on a, you know, per artist basis, but would they turn around like, hey, here's 100,000 as well to invest in?
So on a financial standpoint, so they're just banks, man. Yeah. Like, you could go to, so a label will sign you and go, here, oh, Jaycee, we're loving your work. Let's do this deal. We'll give you $100,000 advance, they call it. And that is, all that is a loan. And we're going to recoup that from how well your music performs, how well your tours perform, whatever. So, you know, someone who needs money, oh man, I'm going to get $100,000 up front. And then they might not make any money for 3 years because they're just recouping it. Yeah. So if you're not buzzing, if you're not like a popping artist, the advance is bullshit.
Yeah, okay.
Because like Drake, for instance, okay, Sony Music goes to Drake, we're going to give you $50 million. He's going to go, oh, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Take it from take it from the music, because eventually the music will get there. But but $50 million, you know, like
for him, it's like
it doesn't matter if it's not. It doesn't matter if it's debt. It's still 50 million,
bloody
and the label has to live with that.
Yeah.
So, but $100,000 at a grassroots level, it's not even worth it.
Yeah,
it's different, and we've spoken to a lot of artists over the last few years, you know, during our journey that have actually encountered this, where they've signed to a label and it all looked great from the outset, but then they're trapped. They're not allowed to release music when they want to release it, the type of music they want, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, a lot of artists fall into that trap of taking that advance because they need that upfront money without really realizing the repercussions and, you know, the box that they're going to be in. And, you know, 99% of the stuff that we've done, a label probably wouldn't have let us do it. You know, like when we did our project One Song, One Dream in 2019, where from the 1st of July 2019 to the 1st of January 2020, Jay released a song and music video every single week for 6 months straight. So it's all out there on YouTube. People can look at it. You know, 26 songs in 26 weeks and 26 music videos. We actually had big people in the industry call us, managers of massive artists, people that worked at labels, and were like, what are you guys doing? You know, why, you know, you're saturating yourselves, you're saturating your own streams. Why are you releasing a song a week and a music video a week? But for us, it was very strategic because we really wanted to build that foundation and have a catalog of songs out there so that when he does pop, which it's already happening, but when, you know, we really have
that next
level, somebody comes into Jaycee's ecosystem on, you know, Spotify or YouTube, you know, they don't have 2 songs to latch onto like with a lot of these, you know, one-hit wonder artists. There's over 80 songs and music videos and everything there.
It's all about the story, you know, like you want, like when it's said and done, you want that story. Like I always say, like, I'm so happy it didn't happen like that for me. Like, because for one, you don't appreciate it. It's like winning the lottery. They wish they never won it.
Bad, because they just blow it.
They just blow it and they go, oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, you go into the spiral and you want more and more. Because it's the human condition. Like even when you get to, you know, I get to 1 million followers on TikTok, it's like, all right, now 2 million. So when you look at it at a micro, you're like, wait, you're just always going to be striving anyway. So I'd rather take my time, enjoy the journey.
Bloody oath.
Yeah.
Bloody oath. How are you finding... is there a lot of artists that are actually, before I ask that question, I want to go into like Spotify royalties.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on them, and like how do they work, and like what are your
if we want to actually break down the micro of a Spotify royalty, it's extremely low for what it is.
Yeah.
You know, there needs to be, in my opinion, there's room for improvement in that area. You know, you get like 0.005 cents per stream.
Yeah.
So for an artist that is, you know, they only have their core fan base, they might have 20,000 consistent listeners.
Yeah.
They're not going to see much from their Spotify. They might see a few $100 every couple of weeks or whatever. So there needs to be you know, we pay $11 a month to subscribe to Spotify. There needs to be a way that, and you'll be surprised, like people like what they know. So you go into the average person Spotify, they're listening to 10 artists tops. You know, like you go into a car, let's put on The Weeknd. You're like, man, there's 100,000 other great artists, but you still want to put on The Weeknd.
Yeah.
You know, let's put on the Drake. It's like, we're paying $11 a month. I reckon it'd be cool if that $11 was split up for the people you actually listen to. So if you had 20,000 monthly listeners, those 20,000 people were directly from their subscription giving you a cut. But anyway, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So the micro of a Spotify is like, it's shit. But what's cool about owning your music is that if you're getting millions of streams, which artists do, millions of streams every single day, that adds up to be, you know, a great passive income that you're always going to be getting. You know, 1 million streams is about $5,000 on $5,000 Spotify streams. Every platform's a bit different.
Yeah.
So if you get 1 million streams a day on a song, which, you know, is it's rare if you're talking about the market, but you know, like Tones and I, when she put out Dance Monkey, was getting 10, 20 million streams a day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy amounts of money. And if you own that song, That's a passive income for the rest of your life. You need one song and you're set. So that's how Spotify works.
Okay. Yeah, that's...
And going back to your point before with the artists and the labels and stuff, the reason why a lot of artists get screwed and are not in a position where they can actually make money is because if you just look at these Spotify streams and let's say, you know, you get 1 million streams and an artist that's signed to a label gets 1 million streams, they're not even seeing that full 5K of royalties. They're only seeing, you know, a couple of $100 or whatever it is. If the label owns, you know, 90% and they're only getting 10% of that, they're only getting $500 for that.
They don't even realize there's money in royalties. This is a new thing. So that artist mentality, oh, there's no money in music. How many times have we heard that? Oh, you gotta tour. You gotta sell merch. No, there's money in music. You just need to own it.
Yeah.
And you need to have enough streams.
You're just getting ripped from the... okay, that's interesting. Are you seeing... Are there a lot of artists that are like... A lot of them would be in deals because they would have signed over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But a lot of them turning around saying, hey, you know, fuck the label, we're not going to be signing on going forward, or like what's the general consensus from, you know, like the overall industry?
It's still...
Well, a lot of them still blinded.
It's still fairly new.
Yeah.
It's definitely at this point now where the labels are realizing they don't have the same... There's not that power to their name. You used to just get an email from Universal Music. Oh shit, we've made it.
Yeah.
The power to the name's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's hear what they got to say.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not, let's just sign this fucking contract and we made it, baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's so the power to the name has definitely been stripped. And labels know this, and they're changing up their deals. They don't do the classic 360 deal as much anymore. They're doing the 50-50 splits. They're doing, you know, you keep your merch. Like they're trying to
keep it touring.
They're trying to adjust.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. That actually opens up, you know, if you look at, for example, yourself, like you're able to just go on TikTok, you've immersed 1.3 million followers, you know, so you're getting a lot of power. That's in your hands.
Exactly.
Compared to everybody else. You don't need these labels to be like, hey, you know, get me the attention. You're getting the attention yourselves, which is crazy. And this actually opens up like the whole NFT situation, which you jumped on before. Like, I'm not too sure like how much you guys have looked into it. I know we had a bit of a discussion a couple of weeks ago about it, but it's like you can now, rather than going and get a bank loan, you've got 1.3 million followers on TikTok. Yeah, you can turn around to your followers and be like, hey, I'm releasing this NFT around my music. I'll be giving away. I'll be selling each NFT for $100. And then let's just say you sell 1,000 of them at $100. You raise $100,000, and then you give the power. So you, instead of the record label taking the royalties, you can be like, hey, you know, I'll give you a 0.001% percentage into the song for owning it, and then every time you know you guys get royalties, it's going to go to the record
fans get a royalty as well.
Correct. So it's like I find it's so funny where, like, for example, like let's use Tiesto. He's like my favorite example. Yeah. When he went mainstream, everyone's like, "You're a sellout, you piece of shit!" Like whatever. Imagine like you had his rookie card, like his rookie NFT with his royalties, and then he blew up. You'd be there front stage,
it's crazy.
Losing it. So
I think there needs to be there might already be a place like this, but there needs to be like a place where music lives within that NFT space, similar to Spotify or whatever.
There's one called Audius. Yeah. That's like the one that's going against it. And I haven't really looked into how they're going to do it, but they are giving the power back to the artist and going to make sure that the royalties go back to the artist rather than Spotify. But Audius is now owned by Spotify.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I don't know how that's all going. It's still early.
It's early, and it's a good thing that it's, you know, we'll see where it goes. And I know there's artists in the States that have done similar, like Tory Lanez. He did an album and he did 1 million copies of his album. You know the story probably, and he sold it all off. And that was kind of a big thing because that was $1 million just like that.
Bloody oath. Like there's a few like the Chainsmokers, like for example, even Snoop Dogg. He bought Death Row Records and ripped all the music off Spotify, and you can't find any of the songs. And now he's coming back as an NFT label. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see what he does with that. because it's going to change it. Like, especially now, like for example, if someone owns, like, what's cool as well is, like, you know, for example, I'm mixed up as well. Like, it wasn't 4 years ago. I probably found you about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But for example, like now with like the blockchain, like if I buy your NFT, for example, like the actual record of the time and date that fan actually invested in you. So when you go off to become, you know, something in 10 years or whatever it is, by 5-10 years, like it's there. There's a record. It's
the record.
It's crazy, man. So and I think once
it's like accessible, like you can have audios on your phone, like Spotify, because the community's there.
Bloody hell.
People want to, you know, get off the mainstream and just be like, man, I'm just using audios now. Like it's a cool thing to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as soon as that's there,
it's gonna take a lot.
It's gonna take off.
Yeah. I think you look at, I don't know,
especially on the royalty front with NFTs. I still think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that space, and a lot of things, tech stuff that needs to be ironed out. You know, where NFTs have done really well just recently has been in, you know, the collectible space and the utility space. And, you know, we've actually got something dropping early 2023 for the fans. We've been, you know, working on some stuff and kind of, you know, taking our time with it to figure it all out, because we didn't want to sort of jump into the space too quickly and just release something that was half-assed and, you know, try get a cash grab and all that sort of stuff. We really wanted to be thoughtful and think about what type of utility and what we can provide for the fans, so that when they do invest in a Jaycee NFT, there's actually, you know, tangible value there for them, whether it's stuff like, you know, you buy this NFT and you've got a lifetime, you know, ticket to Jaycee's shows, or you buy this NFT and, you know, you've got a lifetime preview to all new music coming out. So, you know, we've got a really cool project launching earlier on in next year, but yeah, we've just been sort of ironing things out, taking our time, and just making sure that when we do release it, there's value for the fan, as opposed to just, you know, because over the last year and a half since the whole NFT gold rush took off, you see so many artists, so many people just, you know, mint some stuff on OpenSea in order to just try and get some money. Whereas, you know, I think especially if you're a musician and you've got that close relationship with your fans, you don't want to be doing silly shit just to make a couple of bucks. You really want to be, you know, creating that value. So yeah, stay tuned. Watch this space.
That's amazing. I think, like, you definitely don't want to burn your audience or anything like that over making a few bucks. Like, you'll win in the long run. And you've seen so many artists that have come in, or like, who's that? That porn star was Alana Rhodes, I think.
Yeah.
She completely rugged her community.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. There was a basketballer as well. So there's been a few.
There's been a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them. You know, these big influencers, they, you know, become a part of it.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's one of those things as well, they just don't have the knowledge on it. Like, I wonder if they go in, I'm going to rug pull. I think they're like, oh, this is cool, and they get in, and then they realize there's so much work that goes into it.
I was about to say.
And they get paid a bag to promote it and have their name attached to it, essentially.
I think people don't realize, like, what it actually takes. It's literally, if you launch like one, it's like opening up a whole new business.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a whole new thing.
Yeah, it
like
is.
that you've got to stay on top of. And I think it's one thing I think that it's going to be like what artists, you know, like there's going to be an issue that with artists when they do release NFTs. For example, like right now, if you jump into the a Discord of a project, everyone's like, when's the floor going to go up? What are you guys doing? Blah,
Wild
blah,
West.
blah. Yeah, like, so you're going to, like, for example, you release one and people are now invested in you. Like, you're going to post a photo of you out to lunch or something.
Yeah.
And people are going to be in your Discord, like, get the fuck back to work.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
the pressure's on.
Correct. It's like a whole new
100%,
thing that
100%.
people aren't thinking about until, you know, they've
it
launched.
happens.
So, so there's going to be, it's going to be interesting, but I do see over the next 5-10 years, everyone's going to...
It's inevitable. It's the future, and it just comes down to how creative and operational the artist and their teams are with executing on those. Because, the last thing you want to do as an artist is just put out trash just to make a couple of bucks. You really, you know, if you're going to be putting out an NFT, it's essentially forever. and you want to keep developing that collectible and the utility behind it.
Correct. Like it's
Speaking of which, though, I just got to say a big congratulations for Danielle Weber. I saw all that stuff happening with The Rock and everything, and
Insane,
I know
man.
you with Collins NFT released her project and everything. That stuff, her getting to meet The Rock, insane.
Yeah, crazy, man. She's been doing some wild stuff. Like even when she was going, just a quick little story. I'm actually really happy because I didn't think she was gonna come to my wedding, and like she literally flew in, and then like an hour later she's there, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like this is crazy, and she's another hustler, man. Like she's been doing some crazy work, but. Yeah, like that was just nuts, blew me away.
We should get her to paint Jaycee.
Yeah, bloody oath. Bloody oath,
That'd
man.
be cool.
Yeah, man. Like her work's just,
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That big thing, I was like, fuck, this is crazy.
Yeah,
This is
it's
absolutely
really good.
crazy. But going back to you, Jaycee, even with like your TikTok, and what happened for you? Obviously, TikTok's one of those things where you just posted something, you're looking at it like, what the fuck? Like, how did that even happen? But like, what's been like the strategy with that, and how have you found like what's 1.3 million followers done in the sense for yourself and and all that stuff?
The strategy for that has just been post a lot, like, and try and get better at like, because the app is constantly evolving. You know, when I started on TikTok 2-3 years ago, it was quite not easy. Like you just had to show up. You know, I put up 100 videos of just me trying to do the TikTok thing. Didn't work. Went back and started doing remixes, music stuff, and people just resonated with the remixes. You know, I'd grab like Peppa Pig or The Simpsons or something and turn it into a rap song, and it'd blow up and get hundreds of thousands of views. That kind of built a bit of fan base. But eventually that slowly didn't work anymore. And the next thing came in, and the next thing came in, and it just constantly, a lot of scrolling and just keeping your ear to the app and just posting and being able to detach from the outcome of the videos. That was really the strategy. And taking inspiration from other creatives. But having the following has changed my whole career. You know, like actually gave me a fan base, I would say. Like I've translated a lot of those TikTok followers to Spotify, to Instagram, to YouTube, and it's actually given me a fan base. Like it's actually changed my trajectory heaps.
That's amazing.
And it's TikTok. Well, TikTok was a pioneer. You know, you got YouTube Shorts, you got Instagram Reels, the oldest versions of TikTok. Yeah. So TikTok was like the crypto space where it's like, this is where content's going. We're going to be the first to really make it mainstream. And, you know, now TikTok and YouTube Reels, YouTube Shorts are like neck and neck.
Yeah.
But, I reckon, short form is just the way. Like, it's the way.
For a long time, when you started in 2020 on TikTok, so Jaycee was actually the biggest Australian musician on TikTok for a long time, for probably about 10 months or something like that during 2020. This is before all the other musos got on and all the other artists got on. And for a long time, everybody was kind of looking at him and what he was doing on TikTok to, you know, as an example. And, even so much as, you know, when TikTok launched in Australia at the end of 2020, they had this big campaign. It starts on TikTok, and they had billboards around the country, TV ads, and they picked 5 creators to be the face of TikTok for that. And he was picked to be the music face of that. And it was, you know, billboards around the country and all that sort of stuff. And it was really cool. But yeah, for a long time, this is before, you know, like your Kid Leroy's were on TikTok and Chillin' It and all these other, you know, Aussie musicians. So, you know, Jay very much pioneered, you know, the Australian music part of TikTok for a while in 2020. And even now he's in the top 10 of...
I was about to say you'd be up there.
He's in the top 10, but for a while he was the biggest.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize what the future is, you know? Like, as soon as I jumped on TikTok, I was like, wow, you got a For You page. Like, a page that pushes you out to people who